The film begins with Patricia, a married woman, preparing dinner in her kitchen. At first, everything seems like an ordinary day until her husband David suddenly storms in, visibly distressed. He urges her to run away, leaving Patricia stunned and confused. Before she can process what's happening, David snaps. In a frenzy, he stabs her repeatedly and brutally beats her with a hot frying pan. As she desperately tries to escape, David mutters in a disturbed voice that it's not him, before viciously finishing her off with a knife. In the corner of the room, a child can be seen locked inside a cage-like enclosure. Through a podcast narration, we learn that when police arrived, they found David standing over Patricia's lifeless body, expressionless, still clutching the murder weapon. The most chilling discovery, however, was their daughter, Michal, confined in a cage, as though she hadn't seen daylight in years. Because David insisted that someone else was controlling him, the media branded him the Puppetman Killer. Ultimately, he was sentenced to death by lethal injection. Years later, the story shifts to the present. Michal is now a college student, sharing a dorm room with her best friend Charlie. A podcast about her father's case has gone viral as the execution date draws near. Michal struggles with fragmented memories of that night and still can't escape the heavy shadow of her father's crimes. While Michal wants to move on, Charlie is fascinated by the case. Through her own digging, she discovers that police had found satanic literature in David's possession, though Michal dismisses it as rumor. At school, we meet Michal's close circle: Joe, a focused medical student; Glenn, the cocky gym rat; and Danny, Michal's supportive boyfriend. With the semester ending, the group decides to sneak onto the dorm's rooftop for a private party. Meanwhile, Charlie grows increasingly obsessed with the Puppet Man. She secretly wonders whether Michal might have inherited some of her father's darkness. While Michal is plagued by recurring nightmares of her childhood trauma, Charlie documents her friend's strange behavior. During her sleepwalking episodes, Michal scratches her own hand until it bleeds, then smears 3 cryptic lines on the wall, a symbol she also sees in her dreams. Ominous signs begin to follow her. Flocks of black ravens appear wherever she goes, as though foreshadowing something sinister. One evening, Michal stumbles upon Charlie's laptop and makes a disturbing discovery: countless hidden recordings of herself sleepwalking, compiled into a secret documentary. When confronted, Charlie insists she was only protecting her and promises that no one else knows about it. Later that night, Michal, Charlie, Joe, Glenn, and Danny gather on the rooftop for their long-awaited party. At first, the group is in high spirits, sharing resolutions, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. But the mood quickly shifts when Glenn gets drunk and accidentally reveals private details about Michal's father and her sleepwalking problem. Shocked and betrayed, Michal immediately realizes that Charlie must have told him. Although Charlie insists she only meant to help, Michal refuses to forgive her. Suddenly, something strange happens. Charlie freezes in place, her body rigid as if an unseen force has taken control. She cries out that she can't move, but her friends dismiss it as an act. Then, in a horrifying twist, Charlie walks backward in a trance and tumbles off the terrace. She dies instantly, leaving the others stunned and terrified by what they've just witnessed. Later, Michal speaks to the investigating officer, insisting she saw fear in Charlie's eyes before she fell. Fear of her. On her way home, Michal notices a flock of ravens tailing her, a dark omen that continues into the night as the birds repeatedly slam against her dorm window, robbing her of sleep. Her friends grow increasingly worried. Danny, who seems most shaken, goes to check on her. When Michal ignores his knocks, he waits outside her room until nightfall. A loud thud wakes him, and he rushes inside only to discover Michal gone. Realizing she is sleepwalking again, he races to the terrace and manages to pull her away from the edge just in time. Not long after, Charlie's grieving mother invites the group to her home, revealing that Charlie had been secretly meeting with a psychic named Ruby. The group, desperate for answers, reluctantly agrees to speak with her. Ruby discloses something chilling. Charlie had come to her out of fear of Michal. Meanwhile, Michal notices a mysterious book in the Ruby's house, the Cult of Dolos, bearing the same symbol she has drawn in her sleep and seen in her nightmares. Soon after, Ruby leads the group in a seance, attempting to contact Michal's late mother, Patricia, who they believe knows the truth behind Charlie's death. The seance turns terrifying when Ruby is possessed and scribbles a confession. "I killed Charlie." Horrified, Michal demands answers. Ruby, trembling, falls under the spirit's control again and writes, "I am Michal." The revelation devastates Michal, who refuses to believe she could have murdered her best friend. Of the group, only Danny accepts what the seance revealed, that something dark inside Michal may have made Charlie its first victim. Later, Joe uncovers files on Charlie's laptop linking her directly to the cult of Dolos and Ruby. Around the same time, Michal's sleepwalking grows more disturbing, convincing her friends that something truly sinister is at play. Joe, once the skeptic, secretly meets Ruby and borrows the cursed book, though Ruby warns her never to let Michal find out. Determined to uncover the truth, Joe asks Glenn and Danny to help her investigate. Glenn brushes her off, preoccupied with his workout routine, and Danny can't leave Michal's side. Left to face the darkness alone, Joe decides to dive into the mystery herself, unaware of just how dangerous that decision will be. Late at night, Joe sneaks into a silent library and begins reading the mysterious book alone. As she flips through its pages, she discovers a chilling ritual designed to summon a malevolent demon into the mortal world. A union of light and darkness, innocence and sin. The text warns that anyone who dares conspire against the demon will ultimately surrender their will to him. Shaken, Joe immediately calls Ruby to ask if they are in danger. But before Ruby can respond, it's already too late. The demon has claimed Joe. Her body stiffens, no longer under her control. In a horrifying trance, she stabs herself in the throat with a pen. The lit cigarette in her hand drops onto the book, igniting it in flames. As Joe struggles helplessly, her face is dragged toward the fire until she is gruesomely burned alive. At the same time, across town at the gym, Dolos seizes control of Glenn's body. Compelled against his will, Glenn stacks massive weights onto his bar and lowers himself beneath it. Straining in agony, he fails to lift the bar, and in a brutal instant, the crushing weight smashes his face, claiming his life. Unaware of their friend's horrifying fates, Danny takes Michal to visit her father in prison. Their reunion is anything but warm. Michal wastes no time asking why he murdered her mother. To her shock, her father insists he didn't. He claims he was being controlled by her. He confesses that years ago, he and Patricia performed the ritual described in the book, hoping to harness the demon's power. The ritual required a balance of innocence and sin, so they offered young Michal's blood as part of the sacrifice. But when the ritual was complete, the demon Dolos chose Michal, not Patricia, as his vessel. Her father recalls that on the night Patricia died, he heard Michal's own whisper inside his head, commanding him to stab her. This revelation explains why Charlie's final moments were filled with terror of Michal. Stunned into silence, Michal begins to grasp the awful truth. She and the demon are bound together. Her emotions fuel him. When she rages, Dolos rages. When she despairs, Dolos thrives. Later, as Danny walks her back to the dorms, he tries to comfort her, but an unseen force blocks him from touching her. Then, his phone rings. The police inform him that two of their friends are dead. The news shatters Michal. Overcome with guilt, she begs Danny to stay away, afraid his fate will be sealed next. Hopeless and broken, Michal spirals into depression. She tries to end her life, but something strange happens. Traffic halts around her, as if an invisible power won't allow her to die. Desperate, She climbs a bridge to jump, but before she can leap, Dolos violently hurls her back onto the pavement. The demon refuses to let his vessel escape. Terrified for her, Danny turns to the only person he believes can help, Ruby. But the psychic, rattled by Danny's story, recoils in fear. Convinced Dolos will kill her if she interferes further, she backtracks, claiming everything she said before was a lie. She even refunds their money, insisting Michal is fine and that there's nothing to worry about. Heartbroken, Michal and Danny realize they are completely alone in this fight and leave. Yet Ruby cannot keep her secret. Moments later, she calls Chief Detective Al to warn him about the situation. Meanwhile, on their drive back, the entity inside Michal stirs. It senses something hidden and demands to know what Ruby gave Danny. Danny tries to brush it off, but Dolos erupts in fury, seizing Danny's body. Helpless, Danny's fingers snap one by one under the demon's control. Suddenly, he pulls out the money Ruby had returned, and tucked inside are cryptic warning notes. The demon forces Danny to read them aloud, then violently smashes his head into the steering wheel over and over. As Michal screams in horror, powerless to stop the carnage, Michal finally realizes the terrible truth. She is the one responsible. The monster inside her refuses to let its secret be exposed, and Danny becomes Dolos's next victim. Shattered by the loss of her closest friend, a blood-soaked Michal staggers into the police station. When an officer asks what's wrong, she coldly confesses that she has killed many people, then demands that he shoot her immediately. But before he can react, Dolos seizes control of the officer's body, forcing him to kill himself. Chaos erupts as more officers rush in, and Michal almost smiles, relieved that this nightmare may finally end. Instead, one by one, they all fall in the same gruesome manner. At last, Detective Al approaches from behind and manages to subdue her with a tranquilizer. He brings Michal to Ruby's house, desperate for answers. Ruby discovers that whenever the vessel is sedated, Dolos is temporarily dormant. Al wants to end it right there with a bullet, but Ruby warns him. If he tries, the demon will sense it and kill him before he pulls the trigger. After researching, Ruby proposes a dangerous plan. She believes the true Michal still exists somewhere inside, fighting to survive. She leaves a pen and paper by her side with words of encouragement, hoping Michal will respond. To their surprise, Michal begins to write. Her message is clear. Her father once wanted to become Dolos' vessel, so they should give him that chance now. With his execution already scheduled, he has nothing to lose. Although it's a gamble, they agree. The next morning, Michal visits her father, David, on the day of his execution. She explains that Dolos is asleep inside her for now and pleads with him to take the demon into himself. Out of love for his daughter, David agrees without hesitation, prepared to endure hell itself for her freedom. With Ruby's guidance, father and daughter begin the ritual, sealing Dolos inside him. The scene shifts to the execution chamber. David is strapped to the chair as Ruby and Michal anxiously watch through the glass. For a chilling moment, it seems the plan has worked, until Dolos awakens, taking control of David's body. The doctor administering the injection suddenly struggles against David's unnatural power. Yet, with one final push, the injection is delivered. David convulses, then dies. Ruby and Michal breathe in relief, believing at last that the nightmare is over. But as the camera lingers on Michal, a sinister twist emerges. She lets out a faint, wicked grin. The film ends with a haunting question. Did they truly destroy Dolos? Or has the demon merely found a way to live on? If you enjoyed this recap and love dark, thrilling stories filled with twists and shocking endings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our next upload. Your support helps us bring you more of the creepiest, most chilling recaps out there. Ding Dong Ghost.